Hey everyone, Sylvia here from Rock the Cradle. Episode 9, Doula Dialogues. I am going to be speaking with my colleague, Jenny B, who many of you know. She is our in-house yogi mama. She gives classes at various places here around Montreal. She is a yoga therapist and does belly casting. It's a new service we're offering. She also does, here she is, 1 second, here we go. This is everyone can. She also does Avoid Blessings, which is a new service we're also offering. Hello.
Hey.
Hello, Jenny. Look at you.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. We can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I always end up doing these things just before I end up teaching. So I'm at a yoga studio and a massage room trying to be less.
Getting a massage at the same time. Is
very
that
nice, yeah.
doulas who massage. Well, we're having an exciting show, aren't we? We're talking today about postpartum doulas.
Yeah.
What is it? What are we? I like to call us fairy godmothers, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about what we actually do, how people can benefit, how families can benefit I'd say even the first year of postpartum, not the first month. Some people have problems later on, and I know we'll tap into your story a little bit there as well. So yeah, one thing I'd like to mention before we start, to let everybody know, is that we're moving our classes that Jenny and I teach. We teach our prenatal classes at Rock the Cradle. We also host a mom group where all the doulas take their turns at hosting it. We're moving to Westmount at Connect Psychology. So very exciting. All the January stuff is on. You can check the classes there. So Jenny's doing a lot more postpartum work. I'm so happy. It's so exciting. How are you feeling in that?
Yeah, really good. It's a funny thing because I think I came to it as a birth doula, a trained birth doula who was no longer feeling like I couldn't go to births because people just give birth at highly inconvenient times.
Really?
So I did start doing some postpartum work with you. I think just because it seemed like a natural way to go, and it ended up being sort of a perfect fit. And by Wednesday this week, I had rocked to sleep 5 people's babies. So it's I'm still teaching quite a bit of yoga as well, but I've let go recently of a number of yoga classes so I can make more space in my schedule to be there for the moms. So that's been good.
Nice. Now, say I'm a new mom and you're talking to me about what you do as a postpartum doula. What is a postpartum doula, a la Jenny B?
I mean, it's kind of everything. It's kind of anything that a person needs it to be. Again, with those number of families I was with last week, I cooked a lot of food, and just like the birth doulas that you have on your team, we all have our strengths and the things that we really love to do. Some of us love massaging, some of us love essential oils, whatever it is. I feel the same way about postpartum doula work, and I really love cooking. So I'm always thrilled if I'm in a house and there's one mom who's like, I've got a bunch of food. I don't really know what to do with it. Just be creative. That's like a blessing.
Yeah.
Great day. But of course, I don't just go over there for 3 hours and cook. I also probably have the baby strapped to me. Or sometimes a mom will go out with her personal trainer and leave me at the home if she's at that point, if the babies are a little bit older. In the early days, if I go over in the first couple of days of birth, it's often a lot of breastfeeding support, making sure that everything's going on. With that, I have my own loads of experience, my personal experience breastfeeding, and then trained as a nourrisseuse support mom. So I'm not an internationally board certified lactation consultant. I do know who to refer to when it's time, but there's a lot that postpartum doulas can end up helping with in that capacity, for sure. So early days, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of holding the baby. So mom can go shower, which seems, if you're pregnant and watching this right now, might be a little abstract of a concept to grasp that I might show up to your house and you may not have actually showered in 3 days. It's maybe, yeah, it's not funny. There's nothing funny about it. We can laugh when we're on the other side, but that's often the case. having a baby, so somebody can just go have a shower quickly before they need to eat again. So
yeah, I get the question a lot. Well, do I need a postpartum doula or do I just need a nanny?
sure.
And what I answered from that one, I said a nanny. There are several differences, but a nanny will do what you ask her to do, and a postpartum doula will guide you and give advice as to what you could be doing to make an easier transition into parenthood, right? And I think that's a big difference. The education of a postpartum doula, we've trained. Many of us are certified postpartum doulas. We've taken training. What do the trainings include? It includes breastfeeding classes, reading lots of books, going into homes and getting that practicum as well. I think, yeah, the hours, many of us are birth doulas as well. So I think one part of that support, Jenny, is that emotional support, right? You know, you go into a new mom's house, she might have just had one baby or two babies, and there's lots of listening that happens in that first stage too, the processing of the birth, no?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You made me think of something and then I lost it. But I think too, having, like, obviously not every postpartum doula has had babies, just like not every birth doula has had their own babies.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of the assessing, like walking into, I've often had that comment in retrospect from couples who maybe didn't know what they were hiring me for, but like, you know, Jenny, the first day you came, you just walked in and you just took care of business. And it's because I can walk in now to a situation and see what needs to be done. Okay, there's a huge pile of laundry there, there's dishes here. Mom clearly needs a shower. No, not really.
Or her partner does too.
Yeah,
Her partner
exactly.
might need help.
And that sometimes too, I'm there, or we're there so early in the beginning of things that that the couple will go sleep. Mom will feed baby,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then they'll go. And for me, a really successful first day in that week or two that I go in after the baby's been born is if I leave the house and the 3 people in that house have slept. That's like, it's golden. So even if it's just that, it's more than just hands. The baby, you know, yeah, I'm going to go and hold the baby. It's not quite the same as putting the baby down in a swing and then going to sleep. It doesn't really work like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that other comment, people say, oh, well, maybe it's just glorified babysitting. And I can tell you that having done it for many years now, it's not glorified babysitting at all. We're really scanning, like you say, scanning the household, scanning the mom, scanning the dad mentally, just to see what state they're in, you know, and that just being there and you know, they can ask questions, they feel that they're in a safe space. There's some crying going on sometimes, you know, when perhaps feeding is not going well. And just having that listening ear. If you're tuning in with us, we're talking postpartum care. Let us know if you're watching. Let us know if you've had a postpartum doula. I never had one. Now I feel I wish I had one. I had one. I did have my mom though. So I mean, some parents, you know, some families do have their own family that comes in and that can, you know, play that role as well. Did you had a postpartum doula as well, which was very helpful.
As we counsel sometimes when we talk to pregnant couples who, you know, who's going to be in the room with you and like, oh, well, my husband and my mom, or my husband and my mother-in-law. Sometimes that dynamic works really well and other times it doesn't. For a lot of us, having, I don't know if my mom's going to tune into this, having our our own mom present at birth or immediately after. No, she didn't tune in yet. Is not, you know, is not always the ideal thing. If it's a person, mother or mother-in-law, that's going to make us feel anxious, whether while we're giving birth or you know, after, it's often, even if you have family in town, it often can be beneficial to hire that third person who has who doesn't have the same attachment to you. We love our clients, but just like you say in the birth, it's not the same kind of thing. We can still, if I'm there and there's a baby who's crying and it's not my baby and it's not my grandchild, I'm detached, not in a bad way, but in a good way, to be able to move forward with what needs to be done rather than being so emotionally involved in the fact that the baby's crying. I think that that can be a bonus as well. Mm-hmm. So, and also having a postpartum doula, even though you do have family in town, is also really helpful too. I've been in many clients' houses where I know mom lives street, but grandma can't be there 24/7, whether it's age or she's working or whatever it is. It's I feel like our services are only for people who don't have family in town, but I do end up supporting a lot of people who a lot of people these days whose husbands work outside. So dad in the first couple of weeks is gone again. But I have 2 clients right now where that's the case. I'm that other person for those moms. So it's sort of invaluable.
Yeah. And I think that being objective, you know, not like you said, not being a family member, we often feel, whether, you know, whether it's true or not, we often feel judged by those we know the most and love the most, and we want to put on our A game and want to show that we can do it as a new mom. While, you know, with a postpartum doula, we're saying like, no, we want the house to be a mess. Don't do anything before we get there. You know, we're there to really, really help you during that time. While sometimes with a mother-in-law or a mother, an aunt, or a sister, we can take their comments, while it comes from a good place, we can often take it as judgment, you know. And sometimes it is judgment. Sometimes it is judgment. You know. So a postpartum doula, very, very objective, very, very objective.
And it can take clients a time or two to get into that. Like I can tell when they met them before, there's sometimes they feel like they need to have the kitchen clean, and I get there, I'm like, well, what do you want to do? Why? She's like, oh, I just clean the kitchen. I'm like, well, no, don't do it next time. If you know I'm coming, it's my pleasure to tidy. And it really is. It's I don't feel beneath anything or anyone in doing that work, because I did have a postpartum doula. Millie was my postpartum doula, and she came a few times, and I just remember what it was like to have somebody help me with those little things that I didn't need to be doing on that specific day. I could be there for myself and for my baby or for my older child, which was the case the second time around.
Yes, yeah. Oh no. I remember, you know, go back to those first weeks as a new mom, you're trying to feed your baby, you're trying to eat well, because we're always, you know, telling you should eat well, you know, keep up that milk production. We often don't feel good in a house that's not cleaned, and you feel that it all comes down to you. And this is where we always are really adamant about taking a village. Birth takes a village, but parenting takes a village. And a postpartum doula is part of that village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to a client's house the other day. I don't know why I didn't ask how old the baby was. I think the baby was doing well and the mom was doing well, and she had some stuff she had to do, so I took the baby from her. I put the baby in a puff baby in a stretchy wrap. And I got cooking, and she was one of those people who was like, okay, I've got these ingredients, and I'm not picky, make whatever. There were no allergies, nothing like that. And the baby slept on me the whole time while I made a big pot of chili. I wrapped her some breakfast burritos that we froze for the next few, God knows how many days, and walked out of there having left her with some tangible things she could use. Food-wise, because that was the thing that particular person had been having a tough time with, was getting the food together. And she's like, okay, I ordered pizza however many times already this, and it just wasn't. I talk a lot about that in the prenatal education, of how important it is to make sure you have food and good food, nutritious food, home-cooked food. So yeah, I know I already said it, but that's one of my favorite things to do when I go over to somebody's house.
Yeah. Well, and it's so important, because I remember ordering out a lot. A lot. And one of Jenny's and our past videos, and I'll put it in the link afterwards, is all of the things we can prepare before baby comes, right? And food was one of them. Either planning to get a caterer to deliver, or freezing food in your house, or having the postpartum doula already hired and ready to come, when you need them after birth. Now, we talked about emotional support, and I always come back to self-care, and you have mentioned it, that postpartum doulas, often we come in and we'll say, what are 3 things that you want to have done, or what that you want to do today, especially a new mom in the first weeks. is often, I want to shower, I want to eat, I want to sleep. You know, those are the three things. So like Jenny mentioned, we take the wraps and put them on, put the babies in. They usually fall asleep, and it allows you time as a new mom to take that time for self-care. Some moms feel guilty taking it, but it's so important, so important. Postpartum, I think postpartum depression comes, I mean, there's many sides to that, but a lot of it is being exhausted. So I love it when my clients, postpartum clients, can sleep while I'm there.
It's
just know
themselves sometimes too. They're like, okay, fine. Like they're running on adrenaline sometimes. Like, okay, fine, I'll go give it a shot. And then 2.5 hours pass, and they open the door, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just fell asleep. And it's life-changing. You can't, unfortunately, store up. I was with a client yesterday who you were talking about. It depends on, you know, sometimes we're there in the first couple of days or weeks. And this is somebody who, through Rock the Cradle, has, God, the baby's sitting and doing stuff. Over, and I heard little noises, and he was playing this little piano. I'm like, oh my God, I've been there sort of since day one, and I'm still here because, you know what, she has 2 kids and she's still not sleeping very well. So I went over and I took care of what needed to be done while she slept pretty much the whole time I was there. So it's not necessarily just, it's really nice to have us come in the first few weeks and months for sure, but even beyond that, in that first year, it depends on, you know, baby has reflux, whatever the thing is happening. If the baby's not sleeping as well, you're not sleeping as well. And yeah, she, unfortunately, you can't sleep for 2 hours while I'm there and store that up for the rest of, you know, the week.
No.
But it certainly makes a difference in the short term, because you start to feel the long term, oh my God, I haven't slept in 3 months. Right.
Don't count the hours. Don't count the hours anymore. You know, like, don't count consecutive hours.
Hi, Mom. I already said the bad thing about you.
Hi, Mom. It wasn't that bad. Yeah, that's why we say, you know, the postpartum period, I think we always think of it as the first 6 weeks, but really postpartum can be up to, you know, as a year after baby, that childbirthing year. I had this postpartum.
You had Julie Kuzmario on your show last week, and she had me on her podcast a number of months ago. Yeah. And that was exactly what we were discussing, the postpartum period, and I think it's forever. So when I put it in my little ad on Facebook that you were my postpartum doula, and you have you've been there for me in many interesting situations in a very recent. My kids are 5 and 7, you know.
They are.
I had a good friend, I'll say her name because it's a common name, just in case she watches this. I had a friend named Michelle who messaged me last night when she saw we were doing this, and she's like she's young, she doesn't have kids, but she's like, man, she had this issue where she had to go to the doctors, and it was, she was like, I get it, I really could have used a doula. Yeah. Just be there and support and accompany, because there are, I was talking to a friend the other day who said he knew an end-of-life doula, you know, and yeah, it's postpartum or whatever it is I think once you give birth, you are then postpartum.
Yes, yeah, and it's true, it doesn't end. And it can be surprising for some moms and some families that you're fine in those first months, and then baby does a switch on you, and maybe the sleeping patterns go off and you're no longer fine, you're no longer sleeping. Mm-hmm. Or it's your toddler who's all of a sudden, I'm working, you know, with a family right now. The newborn sleeps all the time, but it's the toddler who's waking up 3, 4, 5 times a night now because her routine has been a little bit changed, and her role in the family has changed, and she's making it known. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's normal. I like that postpartum. We need life doulas. I call them life doulas. I am your life doula, Jenny. I'll be your life doula.
Except you don't charge me, do you? I didn't get
the bill's in the mail.
Can I write it off on insurance? That is something, though, that a lot of people don't know, that I think they get a light bulb. If I have yoga students and I'm talking to them about what I do, and they realize that many, not all of us, but many of us as postpartum doulas have insurance receipts. So I do as well. And that makes a big difference if people know that, mm-hmm. Right, our services off, it almost becomes a, well, why wouldn't I? have somebody come over and help me with these things, if then again I can actually use my insurance to cover it, it can be a game changer for a lot of people. So
yeah, it's a service. Just, you know, we don't think of this because here it's not as common, but it's a service, a free service in many other countries. My friend in Germany, another one in the Netherlands, they got like a week of a nurse and a night nurse come to help out. That's just part of their birthing journey. And then they can look forward to that as they transition into this new role as a parent, you know. We're not there yet, so I think postpartum doulas can, you know, be the bridge between that, between, you know, having nothing and having a full week of live-in support, you know, very different. But a lot of people still don't know that we're offering these services that can be so helpful.
I think it's a continuation too. I was thinking of, you know, when I was pregnant 8 years ago or so, I felt like then the word doula, even birth doula, was not a word that people.
Yeah.
Now I can find myself hanging out with someone who is not a parent, who knows what the role of a doula is, you know, just because it's more and more in pop culture. So if I say I'm a postpartum doula, they can actually understand what that means very quickly. So that's I think that's a good place to be. And just like when we talk about seeing a pelvic floor physio, you know, when I was pregnant the first time, I know you as well, nobody was talking about going to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist.
No.
Now all of these words are starting to become more common, and, you know, maybe we can be like France and send people for 10 sessions after they've given birth. Maybe one day, maybe that's what we're on the road to bridging that. I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah. I think there's I had a gentleman in one of our prenatal classes recently says, well, why do I need a postpartum doula if, you know, if my wife's not depressed? And I'm like, we often associate the words postpartum with postpartum depression.
Yes, I had.
But what postpartum means is after birth.
Yeah, I know that's very, very confusing again for people who haven't had kids. I had exactly that conversation with a woman the other day who just assumed when you hear that word postpartum, it means that there's an issue. There's no problem. It's just a period of time in your life. Yeah, just like is being pregnant.
Yeah, prenatal. I mean, sometimes we call it postnatal. That makes it maybe, you know, less of a link with depression. Very normal while we're on that topic. For the first 3 weeks, very normal to be very emotional after birth and have the hormones all fluctuating, and we call it, you know, having the baby blues. And your postpartum doula can help you navigate those emotions. It's very normal. Also, if it does, you know, if you are one of, you know, apparently 25% of women after birth are, you know, diagnosed with depression, postpartum depression. A postpartum doula can really help in those situations as well, either with giving referrals, but like coming in and that support, knowing that you can have someone come to your house 2 to 3 times a week to help is a tremendous help. I know you've lived your own experiences as well in that, and it's nice to know we can count on people.
Have enough support. I did, as I mentioned, have Millie come, but in retrospect, I could have hired her for way more days. You know, I was in a situation where I didn't have insurance to cover it, and you know, whatever other excuses I had, but you can't really have too much support, especially if it's the right kind of support. Like I said, if you have somebody coming over who's actually judging or stressing or whatever it is, but you're not going to get anything too negative from a postpartum doula that you help. You know, usually we come in, I know I love the job so much, I come in and it's a pleasure to be there, and then at some point the baby's recognize me, and it's a highlight of my week to be in a client's home. So we don't usually come in there with our own baggage, even though I've lived my own experience with postpartum depression. I'm not there talking about it unless
no
be helpful. But I think because I did go through it myself, I so get it, and I know the things that can help make that difference in it. Not you know, I can't guarantee my presence in their life as a postpartum doula is going to prevent postpartum depression by any means. But to alleviate and to at least help things go in the right direction, so that maybe it doesn't. Maybe there's enough support there between myself and, you know, the aunt and whoever else is there that it doesn't go that way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I say, get your village filled with people, that, we were talking about a title of what to call ourselves. I mean, postpartum doulas, but I love the fairy godmother. She comes in, and gives you that little bit of du répit en français, on dit respite.
I so
Yeah.
sometimes there's like holes in something, and the mom's like, I cut a pineapple the other day. You know how sometimes pineapples go rotten because you just find the time to cut the pineapple? We can cut your pineapple for you. There was a pomegranate there the other day, and I was like, the baby was sleeping, and I had some time. I'm like, do I get it, that pomegranate? I'm like, no, it's going to take a little bit too much of my time. Those little things that you like, the pom-pom falls off the baby's toque, and you want, you're not going to find the time, but I will sew the pom-pom back on for you.
There you go.
That's when they're getting out of the hairy first couple of weeks, and things are starting to feel like, instead of if somebody takes our services for 36 hours, we're there for a long, if we're only there once a week, 36 hours is a long time, and we get to the point where things are tranquil enough that now, there's little pauses and the laundry's folded, and I'm not a house cleaner per se, but I don't mind doing the things that need to be done. For sure, it's a pleasure. I'll fill up the I'll fill up the little drawer where they keep the diapers, and throw the garbage out, that kind of stuff, just to leave the place feeling a little bit more streamlined, and we leave.
I always go in and say, what would I like what would I like even now as a mom that I would need help with, and just tidying. I think there are three ways we can categorize what we do. There's that whole emotional aspect of it, the processing the birth, listening to answering questions, listening to their stories. There's the help with the baby in terms of childcare, allowing clients to have self-care, take the time for their self-care, and sleep and eat and run the errands that they want to do. And then there are the tasks in the house that, like Jenny said, we're not it's not we're not housekeepers, but a little tidying up can just make that mom feel it's something that I don't have to do. We do have packages at Rock the Cradle. We sell packages of 12 hours or 36 hours. There's 3-hour sessions where we come in. So 3 hours gives, quite a long time for us to get things done, and for you as clients to, shower and sleep, not just shower and then we're leaving already. Time, and if we come for twice a week, it's people look forward to that visit.
Yeah, and you have a package too that is Mika doing the yoga package as well?
We have two, you and Mika, yes.
So we
postpartum and yoga,
and that's fun. I mean, again, neither of us are pelvic floor physiotherapists, but we can help with any of the yoga related exercises to getting stuff back, feeling good too, stretching, like any the constant hours that you spend hunched over. That's one of my favorite things to do is go over and help with a little. We're not doing 108 sun salutations 2 weeks after birth, but there are
no power yoga, no hot yoga,
no, exactly. But there's definitely, that's another fun thing to come over and do, is to help with some stretching, breathing. Sometimes it's yoga nidra if mom needs to fall asleep. I've often had baby's been sleeping, and I'll come in and I'll walk mom through a guided relaxation, and I'll leave and she's sleeping, and then I'll let myself out.
That's so nice.
Nice thing. Yeah. Hi, Jason.
We also have doulas who do night help as well. It's a little bit different than daytime support, because what we want is a real quiet household for nighttime work. So it's really taking care of baby while the parents can get as much sleep as possible. It does work with breastfeeding families, because we just bring baby to mom to feed, but then she gives the baby right back to us. So we go and change the diapers and burp the baby and settle the baby down while she can go right back to sleep. And like you said, a lot of partners are already working in that, so it just maximizes the number of hours or minutes people are sleeping during the night. And that's getting more popular as well as we talk about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What a great conversation, Jenny.
you.
Highlighting exactly what you do. What is it that we'll finish there? But the quote that one of your clients recently said about your work, the dad of twins.
Oh, I wish you could get him to do it. He's so dynamic. Oh, Joseph, I don't even know if you're on Facebook. We're not together on Facebook. Oh, what did he say? I want him to tell the story one day because it's the way he tells it. I watched him tell his brother. His brother came to visit, and he was introducing me as forget fairy godmother. I was like
a goddess,
holier than a fairy godmother. But I went to their house in the very, very early days, and they were both just exhausted with twins, and they didn't know me. We never met, and yeah, he was one of those dads that said, you know what, you just took over. We didn't know what the hell was going on. And you just came over and you did everything that needed to be done. And that was one family where by the end of it, the 4 people who lived in that house had slept in the middle of the day. And yeah, I'm still there months later. I'm
yes,
so
yeah. Love it.
For some people, it's just 4 times, and that's really sweet. But more and more these days, for the people, again, especially if they have insurance, more and more it seems to be like, well, why would we not just continue with this? Oh, the baby's not in daycare. Some moms are have me there because they're slowly getting back to work and they have to make some. Sometimes I go over and people leave the house, as I said, if they're babies who are already starting to eat solids or who have another, if I can give them a bottle, they leave. The time that I'm there, they go get a massage or they go personal trainer, they go
run errands.
They just go and get some fresh air. The other day I took a baby. The mom asked me to actually take the baby grocery shopping. She said she needed groceries. I was like, it's okay, great, I'll go get you some. And she said, well, no, actually, would you take the baby? So I found myself there pushing a stroller for the first time in a very, very long time, grocery shopping with, and I was just thinking like, man, this would be weird if I ran into a friend who thought I had this baby. But,
a new baby.
So it's really is whatever that individual family needs. And it's always a pleasure, whatever it is. Hi, Sesh.
Yeah. Hey, Sesh is on. We miss you, Sesh. Miss you. Come back. Well, we're going to end it there. Thanks so much, Jenny, for a lovely call.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. I'm so happy that more and more people are getting used to the term postpartum doula and getting that help and that support as you transition into such a new life-changing role. Becoming parents, like you said, when we're pregnant, we don't realize just how much of a transition it is into that role of a mom and dad. But it is, and depending on your baby, depending on your family structure, when a spouse has to go back to work and whatever, we are here. We're here to help, and it's such a pleasure.
And it's not
coming into home.
It's something that you necessarily need to organize. It's nice if you organize it in pregnancy, but to know too, if you get to the point where you're a couple days or weeks in, oh my God, people can always come and find us then too.
Exactly. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Catch us on the replay if you missed some of it. Ask your questions. We go back and we answer them. All of our episodes are on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, Rock the Cradle YouTube, and upcoming subjects. We're going to be talking essential oils for birth, for pregnancy, for taking care of kids. We also have our friend who works in sleep. She's going to be coming on in the new year, as well as pelvic floors. We have lots and lots of shows coming up, lots of great topics. If you have a specific topic you want to talk about, like someone said, please, Sylvia, can we talk sleep? I said, I need a whole 3 hours. But it's great that you can all be here. Thank you so much and have a great day. Jenny. Kiss you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.